Camcorder Cameron here. Welcome back! Okay, all you Twin Peaks fans. Here I am once again. I wanted to come to you guys and talk about some old fan theories. So nowadays, with the internet, we are all super accustomed to logging online and discussing fan theories from our favorite TV shows. But Twin Peaks, was kind of a novelty at the time because it's one of the firsts. With the introduction of the internet, Twin Peaks came out in 1990. So all these old forum pages are coming up and people really came together to talk about the evidence and discuss their theories. So that is exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to go through some old forum posts on Usenet, a website I've never heard of before, but apparently they were on it in the 90s. Our first thread is posted by Mr. Wayne Messard. It's titled, Mindless Speculation About the Killer. It was originally posted April 16th of 1990. Let's get into it. Okay, this is this guy's favorite theories of the week. Number 1, the whole town did it, like in the Orient Express. I've never seen the Orient Express, but that would be pretty crazy if the town was in on it, considering how everybody in the town was so deeply and personally impacted by her death. Everybody in the town is shifty for sure, which makes for a good mystery, but I just couldn't see that happening. Number 2, nobody did it. Accidental unaliving herself. So I believe that is not a good theory at all. I don't know why it would be a favorite theory, because how could she do that and then wrap herself in plastic and put herself down the river? No. Number 3, she OD'd on spice. So I saw that and I'm like, Dune spice? Like that's immediately where my mind goes. But apparently no, like spice is like fake marijuana and it's really bad for you. It's already floating around in episode 1 that she had used cocaine, I think that's definitely what she used. Okay, so this is actually a good theory. Theory number 4, the log did it. Did you notice how shifty-eyed it was last week? And the cherry pie drove the getaway car? Okay, Taylor Swift reference. I love it. I love this theory because the log is introduced like it's its own character, and it does play a significant role in the storyline. So, the log could have very well done it. He's only on episode 1, and he's already figured out that Cherry Pie is the main character here. Here is his favorite theories of who absolutely did not kill Laura Palmer. So, number 1, that truck driver, Leo, of course. He says, too obvious. He might have done that other girl, referring to Ronette Polanski. And just when are we going to hear from her anyways? Right? Because she's passed out in a coma. Cooper, the smart money, had already decided that the incidents were unrelated. You can quote me on that. Remember that the attack last year was in a different part of the state. Truck drivers travel a lot, and this one came home early the day after with the blood on his shirt. So that is actually interesting, because he's saying that he believes that the truck driver absolutely didn't do it, and then he gave a reason as to why Leo could have plausibly done it, because he's a truck driver and he's traveling around across state lines. I think it could make sense that he could be across state lines and have interacted with Ronette. But I get what he's saying about it being too obvious. He definitely does seem to be the red herring. He's clearly characterized as a villain when we first meet him. So yeah. Okay, theory number 2, the football boyfriend. Killers don't have nice hair. So he is, of course, referring to Bobby. A little thing that the Scream franchise, the rules of the Scream franchise, I can't remember which one they established this rule, but they say, it's probably the boyfriend. In every movie, it's probably the boyfriend. So I think that maybe the boyfriend is just another stereotypical red herring. Maybe that's why he thinks, but I don't know. Just because of having nice hair, I don't know. I think that maybe the best killers could have nice hair because it's a distraction from their murderous tendencies. Okay, theory number 3, the biker. Talking about James, of course. Jack Kerouac characters aren't killers. I guess he could probably tell that James is a softie at heart from the beginning. I think that's really what he's picking up on. Anyways, Wayne, this is a great thread you started. I think he's got a good sense of humor at the very least. Moving on. Here's our first response the next day. Jordan Hayes says, but what about the letter R that got pulled out from under Laura's fingernail? Ouch. He said it matched from the other incident. He said something like, I knew we'd see something like this again. The pathologist said that there was at least 3 different fellas who got with Laura that night. My count is Bobby, before 9:30 certainly, doing homework, the biker, and whoever bumped her off after she got off the bike in the woods. So this is actually a really interesting response, Jordan. I like what you're on. I really do. I think that he is thinking like a detective, and that's what I like. Like, he's considering the evidence of the letter R under the fingernail. He's considering the timeline of Laura's day before her death. Like, he's like, okay, before 9:30 she was with Bobby. He knows that James dropped her off that night, so whoever killed her was who she saw in the woods after James, which is actually true. You know, none of that is a lie. That's all truth, and he's really thinking a lot like Cooper would. But what does that have to do with Leo? That doesn't really have anything to do with Leo, unless of course he thinks that Leo did those things and he was the person that Laura ended up seeing in the woods, which if you've seen Fire Walk with Me, you know the answer to that theory. So now Tim joins the conversation. So in response to the bit about Leo being the obvious killer, so he's definitely not the killer, he says, they were unrelated. Then what was the heart doing at the scene? It seems clear both girls were held at the same place. Laura's heart was there, but they only found the place by retracing Ronette's steps. You've mentioned 2 of the main things indicting Leo. He drives very fast and his shirt was soaked with blood, but missed a couple of others. One's obvious. He obviously enjoys hurting women. Fair. The other, the interior of his house has a lot of plastic wrap lying around, apparently from unfinished improvements. So that last sentence is actually really interesting because I've never noticed that before. In the beginning, whenever Laura Palmer's body is found, she is wrapped in that same like construction plastic wrap that you would have on the inside of a house that's going under repairs or construction or whatever. And then Tim says about Bobby killed somebody, but I'm not sure if it was Josie's husband or the as yet unidentified stiff in the barn the year before. I doubt he killed Laura, though it's possible. I bet it is that he was paid by Josie to kill her husband and that she's deeply involved with the drugs and pornography in the town. You can tell from the direction, specifically the way her face is presented and when. This guy is very intuitive. For me, it took me a while to become suspicious of Josie, even though she's kind of a foxy, like, cat, you know? She's very mysterious and alluring with her killer looks. But I never, I bought into her whole like victim thing for a while. But he sees right through that. He's already got the theory that she killed off her own husband. And he ends his post by saying, James Hurley, I'm sure he didn't do it. So another person that is absolutely positive that James can't be a killer. I mean, he does just give off soft boy vibes, and we love him for that. Okay, so now Chet Ayres enters the chat. He's responding to our guy Tim. I think the plastic is a significant clue. I have read several blurbs where Lynch has said that there are clues if you look carefully enough. Another clue is that fact that this was the second shirt that his wife has lost. Could it be that she is making a collection of his bloodstained shirts? Okay, so I really like that they're just like reading into every little thing. So then Chet goes on to say, it could be that Laura visiting Josie for English lessons was just a cover for something else. I'm pretty sure that Laura was probably a prostitute or something close. Yeah, Chet, she definitely is a prostitute or something close. And I didn't even think about that, about the English lessons ever being a cover for something, for something nefarious. I just think that's really insightful, and I never even thought about that being a cover. Okay, and then Chet goes to talk about James. I wouldn't put it past Lynch to have made the most obvious person have done it. He is working very hard to shake up the television norms, like having people actually get upset when a person dies. One person even posted that he thought the whole town had done it because he couldn't conceive of that many people being so shooken up. That is one of the things that I love about Twin Peaks, is how serious they take Laura Palmer's death. They treat it like a real death, and they show how it affects, every little person that knew her. And that is something that I think is so unique to the show, and it's something the show does so well, and it's great to see somebody picking up on that as well. So then he concludes this post with a few thoughts. 1. My current frontrunner is Leo. He may not be the murderer, but he is involved in something bad. Yes. He absolutely is. Okay, number 7's interesting. The fact that Ronette got out alive is significant. For some reason, the murderers didn't want or need or have the time to kill her. Why? So the reason that's interesting, spoiler alert, is because we know, if you know who the killer is, Leland, that's totally right. Like, Leland only cared about his daughter, so he didn't really feel the need to kill Ronette. Number 8, there's a lot more to come out about the R under the fingernail and the note at the murder scene. It is possible that the murderer was a madman who did it at random, and all the detail we are going to find out about the folks of Twin Peaks are one giant MacGuffin red herring, but I doubt it. So he's saying, basically, here we are being detectives collecting all this evidence, but maybe it's just some crazy person and none of this evidence matters. Which is an interesting theory, and I could see why he would think that, but that's what's so fun about this show, is like, you really can be a detective and figure out who did it, even with all the mystical elements. Okay, here's an entirely new thread started by Lord Tattersall, and I thought his thoughts about Diane were hilarious. He says, Who is Diane? This seems to be the central question of the show. Best idea I've heard so far. Diane is actually the name of Cooper's tape recorder. He talks to her about his cases. Second best idea. Diane is a friend of some sort of Cooper's, but is also the murderer, and was having an affair with Laura, and is the perpetually out-of-town mother of the guy whose name I don't remember at the moment, but who for sure reminds me of JD from Heathers, which is to say a junior James Dean. I love that connection of JD and James. They definitely are like the same character in a lot of ways, except JD is pretty sinister and James is just a big lover boy. I love that he has the theory of Diane just being the name of his tape recorder, because until the 3rd season of Twin Peaks, we never actually get to see Diane. We only ever hear his tape recordings to her. It makes me think of that movie Her, where that guy's like in love with the robot. That could totally be Cooper and Diane for all we know. Okay, and then DJ starts his own little thread about the theme music. He says, is anyone else as taken with the theme music as I am? And yes, DJ, I definitely am. Alrighty, you guys, thank you for watching this video. Short and sweet one for you guys. Let me know if you want me to do more, because there is plenty of these fan theories out there, and I could have gone on and on. Okay, you've reached the end of this video. You know what's next. It's time for me to give some love to my Patreon supporters. Thank you guys for supporting me. You're the whole reason why I'm able to dedicate as much time as I can in my day to putting out these videos. You guys are really there for me, and I appreciate every one of you. If you're not a member yet, please consider, because that would just be super helpful, and I would love you for that. Check me out over there, Camcorder Cameron. Until next time, Camcorder Cameron signing out.